Welcome back to the Policy Viz podcast. I'm your host, Jon Schwabish. On this week's episode of the show, we talk about data, we talk about art, we talk about data physicalization. I am excited to have my guest on this week's episode of the show, Natalia Kisileva. If you are on Substack, you should definitely sign up for her newsletter, Flowers and Numbers, where she talks about all of her great, amazing work that she's doing and the community that she's building around data art and data physicalization. And I, if you are unaware, have a keen interest in data physicalization. I have been doing a weekly project, well, almost weekly project, let's be honest, almost weekly project at work where I create these data physicalizations and people get to input their own data. They get to have some fun. They get to learn a little bit more about themselves and their colleagues. And so Natalia's been doing this work as well. And I was really curious to talk to her about her journey into this area, how she is building this community around data art and data physicalization, and also how she is doing her data art going forward. So you're going to really enjoy this conversation, I think. I hope. I think you're also going to learn a little bit more about how we can take our data off screen and do some stuff in the physical world so that we can learn more about the world around us, not always just clicking and typing on our computers, but actually building things. And it doesn't have to be difficult. It can just be marbles and cups and pencils and markers and glue and scissors. So there's a lot of ways to have fun with data, even if it's on serious topics. So I think you're going to enjoy this episode, my conversation with Natalia. And here we go. Here's my discussion with Natalia Kisileva on this week's episode of the Policy Viz podcast. Hi, Natalia. Thanks so much for coming on the show. So good to meet you in person.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Natalia.
I feel like I already know you from your Substack newsletter, because it's like your work is often very kind of personal. So I kind of like feel like I already kind of know you a little bit. So I'm excited to talk about all the work that you're doing. Maybe we can start you just sort of introducing yourself and letting people know who you are and the work that you're doing.
Okay, let me tell a little about myself. I'm an engineer. I was working in automation processing, and we're making some big stuff with energy, power supply. So, and it was like for 15 years I was working with it, and then my career maybe begin to rise up, and I begin to work with data. I begin to implement some automation inside of company, reports, data, statistics, and I begin to work with that visualization. And maybe I've seen somewhere like beautiful Tableau visualization. I think like, wow, it's so nice, maybe. And I begin to experimenting, and when I dive deeper, it was such an interesting topic for me, and I began to teach it. I was so hungry for that visualization books, materials, courses, and everything. And I even pivot my career. I like drop my job, not drop. Okay, I went part time and begin to study more about the visualization and. I begin to draw comics about that visualization. Yeah. Yes, cute characters with funny educational strips. And maybe at that time, the Data Visualization Society was founded. And it was like a fresh air for me, like, wow, so many people loves data and the charts. And I wanted to show them my ideas, my characters. I wasn't like expert in that visualization at that time. I just was a newbie. But really hungry newbie.
Yeah.
And somehow I became popular with that little characters with cute pictures. And then I began to create my career around that visualization. I find a new part-time job with dashboards with Power BI. And for that moment, I already know how to make dashboards in Tableau, but like more beautiful dashboards, like creative one. But in Power BI, I was implemented, the classical dashboards with KPI cards, with from general to details, etc. And I love it too. And I don't know. So then I begin to train other people, because in my previous career I was a trainer too, because
Mm-hmm.
I have to train people to work with new software, to teach them something, and I love it. So I begin to train people to work with tools, and
Mm-hmm.
then when I became like better at that visualization myself, I begin to teach to train them about that visualization like in general.
Right.
And then some universities call me like, be our trainer, be our coach and our lecturer. And I was like, oh my god, I'm not so clever. I just have beautiful comics. Only comics, not like some PhD.
Right.
I didn't even have some university degree with that visualization, but I love to teach people, and one and the next university called for me, and I love it. And I
Wow.
create interesting materials with characters, with comics, and I love it. And I think now my career is all about training something related to data visualization, about workshops, elections for companies or for universities. But then, but then I smashed into data art and was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, it's so wonderful!" And I was like, "Data art. Have you seen this data art?"
Yeah.
And yes, there was I think it was 2021st year, pandemic situation,
Mm.
COVID. I was pregnant with little kid,
Mm.
and I was like shut it in the house, because it's impossible
Right.
to have something like illness this type when you're pregnant.
Right.
And I was kind of bored. I already stopped all my jobs. I have three maybe that related jobs at that time. I was stopped, like, okay, I'll have a baby, some baby stuff. But then with the first months of the baby, there are hard times, but
Mm.
still there are many little periods of times when you have nothing to do. And I begin several blogs about that visualization, like
Mm-hmm.
data comics blog in Telegram, the data art blog in Telegram with my friend who loved data art too. Then it was data jobs blog, and now it's data storytelling blog.
Yeah.
I just love blogging, I think.
Yeah. 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 Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and it was so fun because Telegram is the platform where you could chat there, and you could post there, like I don't know, uh, like one-sided and two-sided.
Mhm.
There are different types of communication, and this is
Right.
interesting experience, especially for little bloggers. And
Yeah.
no algorithms will cut your audience from you. So it's more like
Right.
newsletter than
Yeah.
Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. So I have a little audience, but it was active,
Yeah.
and we could chat all together about this interesting topic. Yes, now it's about maybe 5,000 in one blog, to
Wow.
half another blog, two and
Yeah.
half in
Yeah.
third
You've got a
blog.
lot. You've got a lot going on.
Yes.
I, I wanted to ask. So, so you started as an engineer, and I'm curious. Did you and then like engineering to comics is a pretty big leap, and I'm curious. Did you have design or illustration training at any point, or is this just like up until that point was just kind of a hobby, like you just liked to draw, you were sort of good at it? Like how did you like that's a big gap to span.
Yes. No, yes, it's like a hobby, because when I was a kid, I think, wow, illustrations is so cool. But I
Mm,
was a pragmatic kid. Yes, it's cool,
yeah.
but no money. And I need
Right.
like
Yeah.
a stable profession in the future.
Yeah.
So, yes, I finished like a kid art school for kids, like
Okay.
for middle schoolers, like for several
Okay.
years. Because my friend gone there, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so lonely without her. And just I want to. Yes, I'm a company person.
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds crazy pivot, but yes,
Yeah.
and I just like comics. I know, especially the strip comics, like the short one with little
Yeah.
jokes, like punch, details, punch, one, two, three. I think it's cute.
Right. Right. So then you moved from engineering to comics seems like a big leap, but comics to data art seems a little bit more manageable. So one of the things that you talk a lot about in your Substack, Flowers and Art, is trying to build a community around data art. And I'm curious, how do you think about building a community? What does that mean to you? What are your uh, biggest dreams and goals for a data art community?
Mhm. It was a winter, and I've got the idea to create something about data art because I
Hmm.
wanted to chat with someone about data art. I was kind of lonely inside, and all my
Mm.
friends was like, "Oh my God, she's talking about data art. I have to run away quickly." Yes, and in my country there are several data art enthusiasts like me, and I knocked to them and hello, do you want to have a little chat with me, like video stream? About data art, we just talk about it together, show each other beautiful projects, and they'll post it on YouTube. That's all.
Hmm.
And it was so cool. I love it so much. Then some people, it wasn't a big broadcast, maybe 15 or 20 person. And me and my colleague was the hosts. We just
Hmm.
chatted with each other and showed the presentation with Giorgio Lupis project, Federica Fragapanes, you know them, they were
Yeah.
on your podcast, yes, and just discussed the idea of data art and how we want to create more. Then in the comments of this video and in the chat in this video, there are more person arrived who are in data art too. They even
Mm.
teaching someone about data art in my country. I was like, oh my God, let's
Yeah.
discuss something too. And then I begin to grab one person, another. It's about maybe 6 or 7 videos already. And we talked about data art, and not just data art in general, but some specific sphere like material data art or maybe handicraft data art, interactive data art, I don't remember,
Mm.
musical one, data art and sound.
Hmm.
It was
Yeah.
complicated. And yet, generative art and data art, like, is it the same or maybe not? It was really difficult.
Right.
Yes, and then I understand there are many people who are into topic, and I read the article about Data Garden. Data Garden, the community of women who are teach each other how to create interactive data visualization, beautiful data arts
Hmm.
with P5GS. Like
Hmm.
it's like for women to help them with programming, to upgrade
Yeah.
their career, etc. And I was like, oh my, it's so cool. And I just wrote in my Telegram channel, oh, it will be so cool to create something like this, but about data art. And I post the link to the group which I created.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of night, and I was like okay,
Yeah.
send. And in the morning, there was a group with 40 person, and I didn't know what to do with them because they came to me like, okay, let's play into data art.
Yeah.
And I was silent for a week. But then I begin to bring them educational material about data art, examples, some ideas, some practical tips. And I recommended them to create their own data arts, like database. I love database idea when you get some simple data from several
Yeah.
people and create one a little page for every one of them, like
Right.
DVA databases, like Georgia
Yeah.
Loop databases. I think in that visualization sphere, we know them, we love them, and there were persons really distant from data art because I grab them from the illustrators chats.
Yeah.
It was like data
Yeah.
visualization, but it was so interesting. They were good at drawing, at illustrating, and they
Hmm.
create really beautiful badges, like with bugs, with flowers. So they invent their creative ability in this data idea, because the data was really simple. They um don't need to understand it, like not complicated table, only
Yeah.
4 digits for each person.
Right.
Like there is the list of skills, like your data skill from 1 to 3, your art skill, your handicraft skill, and your data viz skill. Like we're data art
Yeah.
community, so we relate these four. And so we have several I could show you. We have
Oh yeah,
videos, so I
yeah.
showed you video part. Could you see it? Is the several different designers create their designs for their databases, and then there's more people, more designs, and still we have like our logo.
Right, right.
Yes,
Yeah. It's interesting to hear you talk about data art because I think oftentimes when I think about it or when I see it, it often it often feels very tangible to me, right? I mean, you're wearing the bracelet of the bead bracelet you did
yes.
on climate stripes, right? Like, data sculpture, and so, but the way that you're talking about is really interesting because it's a little bit of physical art, but it's also a lot of digital art, a lot of coding. And so I was going to ask you about how you think about physical data art when you're trying to build a sort of international community, because I can't like hold the stickers or the bracelet that you have right now. But if you were to build something online, like obviously I can toy around with that. So I guess I'm curious about how you think about sort of this, I don't know, I guess the sort of interaction between the tangible in the real world versus the digital that's kind of online.
Oh my god. I forgot to mention one thing.
Oh,
Why?
okay.
Yes. Why I uh, begin with video streams story about data art,
Yeah.
because I begin to collect all worldwide data art project. All I just begin to, because I have a Telegram channel about data arts, and I have
Right.
collected these projects there for years, and then
Yeah.
I put them into the Notion, add some text, classifications, and begin to study it. Like, okay, I filter only interactive data arts. Okay,
Hmm.
I'll filter data arts created in Tableau, or maybe made by hand, or maybe
Hmm.
handicrafted. And because there are so many different types of data art, it's easy to begin creating that art with your pencil, with your, I don't know, some handicraft skills. But of
Yeah.
course, the top, I don't know, maybe the more complicated data art is about big data, about some interactive elements when you could touch something and it will become flowers after you
Yeah.
under you touching, or maybe physical cube of Kirill Bensi. It's just something already so difficult, so
Yeah.
interesting, like a
Yeah.
millions dots. So it's like the hype. It's really something complicating. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think the art is really a variety from simple one to the difficult one, and it's okay. We have many
Yeah.
types.
Yeah. It is just a interesting it's such an interesting field because it branches out into so many different ways that we sort of think about and work with data. And I wanted to ask, now that you sort of have kind of different ways in which you work and communicate with data. You've got sort of the dashboarding, Tableau, Power BI world. You've got data art. You've got the data comics. When you work with your students, or you work with clients, or you work with businesses, like, how do you talk to them about using one or multiple different ways to communicate their data? Because I would guess that, most business clients who are going to come to you are going to say, "Hey, we want a Tableau dashboard," right? But I can imagine you coming back and saying, "Well, we could do this like, I don't know, mural or
It's
badges
like
or
flowers.
necklaces or yeah, or flowers or like." So how do you talk to clients or talk to students about these different ways of communicating their data?
Okay, I think there are really different types of audience, of course. And one type of audience understand only simple data visualization charts. Even dashboards will be too much for them. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I think the data storytelling, like the simple one with highlighting, with clutter removing, is really best fit for this type of audience. And I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to speak with them about it. But if I see that audience is already hungry for something new. Already on dashboards, it's so boring. We have them enough. And then I could show them something interesting. One big company invited me to, like a guest from the future, to tell them about something new about that
Mm-hmm.
visualization. And then I talk them about data art. And there were really good feedback. They were happy and their eyes were like sparkling because I
Mm-hmm.
show so many brilliant examples. Of course, the business is really interesting. And what about money? How could we make money from data art?
Yeah.
It's hard, but there are many, like, big projects that are out with big corporate clients, and
Yeah.
or when some design company creates something that artist design for someone. Okay, we have these cases. And Elsa second election is near days,
Hmm.
was about, I was trying to show the idea of databases for HR people.
Hmm.
Like, hey, you need to communicate with your people, you need to communicate about your company outside. Think about data. How could you make it? Maybe not charts, maybe not dashboards, maybe something more creative, because creative data art, the power of data art, not about specific details, not about, oh my god, I've got the our fact and plan financial. It's about emotions, it's about touching, about involving people inside, like, uh, to grab their attention. And now in modern life, when everyone in their mobiles, like, okay, sorry, bye bye charts, thank you, and something beautiful, you could show them something that grabs their attention, and then you could show them something useful.
Hmm.
So I think it's great part for this task. We couldn't replace dashboard with data art elements. And I had a joke, the projects like data cuisine, when you create a little chocolate boxes with data inside with
Yeah.
nuts or something, it couldn't replace like the year report for your boss.
Right.
But
Yeah.
still, it's really interesting um, for some communication events, for data
Right.
events, for corporate events, for team building events, when person
Hmm.
could really feel that the person is a part of company, their data is a part of company. And I think it's really touching. I was really loyal uh, employer for 15 years, and it was
Yeah.
important for me, like something to be a part of. And if data art was there, I think it will be really great, because the boring some boring flowers about our principles of our company, our guidelines, it's so boring
Yeah.
and no one want to read it.
Right.
So
Right.
I think
So
it's something like that.
yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting way to think about how to engage people, especially in person, which we're sort of now getting back to finally after the pandemic. It's just a really interesting way. The other thing, though, that I wanted to ask you about was along this line is whether you find that people don't take the data art world seriously and whether they sort of dismiss it as sort of whatever. I mean, I interviewed for this show years ago. I interviewed Edward Tufte, and he sort of shot down data art as like, I mean, I think he said something like, it's not serious, it's not good art, it's not good data, which is like just not, it wasn't true then and it's not true now. But I am curious what how you find people sort of view data art as, sort of in that line of like, is it serious data or is it just sort of like kitschy fun?
Oh, it's really a complex question.
Yeah.
I think in the modern world, we need to search for new ways to communicate
Yeah.
with data, because there are too much data, too many charts. It's just impossible to. Uh, if before it was troubles to work with tables, now it's troubles to work with charts and with dashboards, because there are too many dashboards. And I think we need to experiment with data. We need to
Mm.
find and always seek for new ways with data, especially in education. I know you've tried this wonderful method when you are you show your students something like Chernoff faces, and it's a part of data art. It's databases inside. It's
Yeah.
and how they use it, they understand it. It's something simple, something maybe closer with material data art with the primitive one on one part, but
Yeah. Yeah.
another
Yeah.
hand, it's something maybe that helps people to feel the beautiful and creative part. When the data people, they see it all day on their chairs, they watch the tables, boring tables, all day. Of course there are many like, wow, I love data, I'll sit here till night. But
Yeah.
most of people are so tired of it. Yes, it's good
Yeah.
job, yes, I have nice wage, but I'm boring with it. I want a little creative,
Hmm.
something creative element in this job. And when you in your Tableau dashboard could create at home, something beautiful using your skills, your working skills. I think it's like a great, I don't know, something nice for the soul, for
Yeah.
the life, some light in the life.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why that people love comics. It's the same way because it's
Yeah.
something fun, something bright, something little cute person. Oh my god, it's like me. Some personalization because especially because now data visualization is like more corporative work. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
standardization everywhere.
Yeah.
We need
I
this
also
fresh
think
air.
yeah, I think that's right. I think it is about fresh air. I think it also, in a lot of ways, sort of like, you know, most of us when we were kids, like, we cut, construction paper and we glued stuff together and we taped stuff together and we, drew with colored pencils and crayons and markers. And so it kind of brings you back a little bit to um, that childlike, almost that childlike wonderment, and now layering then this sort of adult perspective on art or on data, which is kind of an interesting way to think about our day-to-day jobs. Like you said, getting off the computer for a little bit is maybe not the worst thing in the world.
Yes.
Okay, so you've got the Telegram, you've got your Substack, you've got a LinkedIn, you've got all the socials, of course. What else are you working on these days?
I'm working on several data art projects.
Yep.
The material one about my travels, you maybe could see that the little rings.
Yeah.
Rings with beads is so problematic, but it's already maybe 2 years. Like I'm creating it because I wanted to. It was on the paper on the first
Mm-hmm.
iteration, and I was like, it looks plain, but it
Mm-hmm.
looks like something that I could bring in material world, and
Mm-hmm.
I find where I could 3D printing it, and then there are many beats from this story. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why not? And I begin to work with little elements, like it's for several months already. I wanted to finish it before the snow,
Okay.
but now I'm not so sure because I wanted to photo it, near the sea, like beautiful
Oh,
sun
yeah, yeah.
sparkling from the
Right.
rings. This summer
Well, you'll
feeling
just have
about
to you'll just have to find a good snow bank, a snow, like a
maybe.
field of white powder. Yeah, it'll
Maybe.
be good. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's it. So I love data art projects, and I'm trying to create one once in a while. I'm experimenting
Mm-hmm.
with different type of techniques: material one, digital one, interactive, static. I
Mm-hmm.
even draw like data rabbits. Data rabbits. It was my experiment. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and also I'm collecting data about like mothers and their wounds because
Mm.
I'm the mother, and we discuss with my friends that sometimes in several countries, mothers don't got the respect of society.
Mm.
Sometimes there was like people shooing on them, like, "Oh my God, your kids are so and
Yeah.
just
Oh,
just
yeah. I know. Yeah.
already
Yeah. I know.
in planes, but for women in first 3 years, just like, oh my god, I need to survive, I need to sleep, help me, what do you want from me? It's like it's really hard, and many have problems with their health. They have cuts, medicines, operation, and I want to and it the project of my friends was about like medals for moms, like
Mm-hmm.
medals for operation, medals for first, medals for second, kit for third. And I was thinking like, oh my god, great idea. And I begin a poll, a survey, and I begin to collect data from all my Telegram channels, like, please share this
Oh.
poll. And women begin to write about themselves. There is poll about different type of problems women had after giving a birth,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a nice good data set for now. Many leave their texts and their data, and I want to create something, some data art projects on it, about not like some sad story like, oh my god, it's so bad, but more like, we're brave, we're strong, and
Yeah.
take it, and we have many medals for this, for that. And I want is to, I don't know, to motivate those moms
Yeah.
who don't have power, who are so helpless at this period of life. And I
Yeah.
think this project will be next for now, after I'll finish this one. Because I have many projects in parallel, and it's impossible to
That
remember
one sounds
all of
like
them.
you've collected like you've collected data from other people, not just yourself.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting, right? To because there's sort of like a lot of your projects seem to be your personal experience, your personal data, but this one that you're starting seems like you've collected the data, which is interesting in its own right, but you've collected the data and then how to translate that into data art, which is
Yes.
like
No,
yeah.
it began from databases story because
Mm-hmm.
maybe you remember the Kimley Scott's projects about moms who with there was little cute badge for mothers about,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a little cute round thing with flowers inside and some symbols to encode children's their personality of the women and the city or maybe the place where it's born. And I have a little community of mothers, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll train on something like this, on this
Mm-hmm.
simple idea, because I wasn't an art professional yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and I wanted to experiment with it. And there was a 20 or 25 person, and I create a Google form for them and grab the data and made it even in Figma. I
Mm.
even don't make it interactive. I just experiment with it. I use part of Kimley Scott projects, part of her
Mm-hmm.
design, because I'm not designer. I'm bad with colors. I don't understand the idea, and I love the black and white comics because,
Yeah.
like read one with a brush with a pencil, just something like dirty, dirty comics. These are beautiful colors because I just don't know how to make them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got the pre-ready palettes and use it, and everyone say, "Wow, you have so beautiful colors here. You're a designer." No, yes, and that's why. And that was my first attempt to create something like that. And later I was like, it's so much fun. Then was flowers and numbers community.
Yeah.
We create a database to another person. We made the survey too. It's the same idea. Google Form, Google Sheet, and then everyone could check the data and create automatically, or maybe with code, with Adobe Illustrator, maybe with their hands. Everyone create differently.
Yeah.
Someone just, creating something.
Oh wow.
I'm
Well,
still,
yeah.
I'm still waiting for this.
Yeah.
One girl just created several data art dolls. Knitted
Wow.
them. Yes, it's such a wonderful project. And the other one from our community creates many data art flowers from paper. There was some tragedy several years ago in Russia, and
Wow.
she feel emotional about it, and she wanted
Yeah.
to create something for the year day, and it was something great. And I'm like, this is my community. It's
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
free. It's already 300 persons there,
Wow.
and yes, and I'm sending them cards for different
Yeah. Right.
countries, like it's for Bulgaria, it's for Serbia, for Great
Yeah.
Britain.
That's
But
great.
yes, one was for Afghanistan, but we lost it somewhere. I
Oh.
need to resend it.
Yeah.
So that's I want to blab about my community, and that's why I need Flowers and Numbers newsletter to
Right.
tell everyone about data art and to involve people. You
Yeah.
ask about how I see the community.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I see that we could share with each other the ideas of the art to help each other to finish them, to, I don't know, just to be there for each other.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I want to finish up. So, where can people find you? You just mentioned the Substack newsletter, so Flowers and Art. So, where
Yes,
else can
Flowers
they?
and
Where else can
Numbers. Yes.
Flowers and Numbers? Yep. So, where else can they connect with you?
LinkedIn, I have
Okay.
Kisileva Natalia, AOLI. AOLA, it's my nick. You could Google me with this nick.
Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there
That's
are
great.
other link for my
And then
website, for my projects. Most of
right.
them are there.
Okay, yeah, and I'll put links in the show notes so people can connect with you. But I would,
Thank you.
for folks who are listening, number one thing I would recommend is subscribing to the newsletter because it's great. It's a lot of fun.
Thank
And
you.
Natalia, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was great, and good luck building that community.
I'm so glad to chat with someone about data art. Yay! create. We need to create more data art
Right, more.
projects.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the show. If you will take just one moment of your day to do a couple of things, that would be great. A, sign up for Natalia's Substack newsletter, Flowers and Numbers. I promise you're going to enjoy it. Number 2, sign up for my Policy Viz newsletter, also on Substack. You can go right there and sign up for both of ours in 2 quick clicks, and you're all set. And number 3, if you can spare a moment to rate or review this show on your favorite podcast provider's platform, I would appreciate it. Always helps me know that this work is worth doing, and helps me find other great guests to bring to you on the Policy Viz podcast. So until next time, thanks so much for listening. This has been the Policy Viz podcast.